Hello, hello.
Hey, hey,
Ho, ho.
how we doing?
It looks like we've... You check on your end and see if we've got your sound. See if you can listen through Twitch.
All right. Is there a way in Skype to deafen? Or yeah, okay. You just don't talk. Let's see. Sounds okay to me.
Can you hear yourself talk?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
important part.
Yeah, I'm watching through Twitch and it's on a serious delay, but it comes through.
Cool. All right. Welcome and hello. How are you?
Good.
I'm
I'm doing
cutthemike.
okay.
This is Benny Box.
How? Yeah, nobody in chat yet, but hopefully, anybody stopping through is having a nice, beautiful Sunday morning. Yeah,
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Sunday mornings are always good here. It's normally a game day in this house, but no games planned today. Might do some more Pathfinder later on my own. But instead we're finally getting you into building the miniature that has been sitting on your desk for like 2 months now.
I think more than 2 months, to be honest. But
Yeah, I was being a little generous.
yeah.
For the
Definitely more than that.
viewers at home, didn't want to color their opinion of you too harshly.
I'm sure their opinion is colored already. All right, so let's see how this works. Transition. Boom,
Yeah,
here we go.
trying our first time at an actual hobby cam, and yeah, this is the first time you trying with 2 cameras at the same time.
Yeah, look at this. We got my hands.
There's a little bit of wobble.
Yeah, it's a very bad.
Is it
I
you
hate
have it on an
this
arm?
mic stand, this mic arm, but we're gonna have to make do.
Yeah,
Otherwise, if I were to change the other cameras, it would have been a whole thing. I would have gotten frustrated, and
yeah,
I wouldn't be here right now. So.
have to completely undo all your cord management that you done so much to keep organized. I'm honestly jealous of your cord organization. My setup still looks like shit.
It's taken more time than it should, more effort than it should, a lot of sweat and anger.
No, it makes me so mad when I have to fuck with it.
Yeah, especially when you think you've gotten it right. I get my hands out of the camera there. You think you've gotten it right, but then like
something's too short,
or something moves, and like my big thing is I don't like it near my legs or like my feet, because I move around too much. I can't sit still.
Yeah,
so like I don't want to like
you're full of the P and V. You gotta just like bop it a boo. You gotta move around.
Boopy bop. So like I don't want to kick the cords and shit. So I think I have it like done perfectly, and then all of a sudden something dangles, something hangs, a toe catches a cord.
Yeah, no, that's the story. Yeah, I got like one of those little kits for keeping all your cords like manageable and all that, and it like I've used it, and then it's definitely better, but it looks like crap and I still hate it.
Mine is like cords are like braided, there's like twist ties.
Nice. I never end up using any of the zip ties that came with it. I probably could have gone a little more intense, but again, it just made the whole process made me mad, so I kind of did as little as possible.
The zip ties are like too permanent for me, and like if I've learned anything about cord management is nothing is permanent.
Right.
So zip ties suck. Twist ties, like from like your fucking bread or whatever.
Right.
Fantastic.
Okay. Alrighty, so you want to show the camera the little booklet what model you're building? Yeah, there's a little bit of glare, but it's a commissar. It's a character for the Imperial Guard faction. Which what drew you to the Guard?
It seemed the most like piratey slash like imperially royal type.
Yeah. Yeah, but they are a bunch of just grunts. That's the majority. That's the majority of the the lore and the model range is just like a whole lot of bodies for the meat grinder.
Mm.
But
Sounds like our plan in Afghanistan until it
mm,
fell apart. What the warmongers want to continue doing, but go ahead.
right, and that's the I kind of like them because they embody quite effectively the kind of the satire of the 40K universe that let's be honest gets lost to a lot of the more kind of grognardy part of the community. But it's just like there's something about the kind of futility of being a guardsman that I find kind of funny and appealing in this setting. But also they've got a lot of tanks, so those are fun.
Tanks, you said?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
basically lots of bodies and artillery. That's
Nice.
like that's their whole thing. But like they're super strict. They're organized into these like regiments that are like led by these guys, the commissars. They're in charge of keeping all the grunts in line.
Okay.
They even have a mechanic because there's a whole piece of the game called the morale phase where if you've lost any models, you got to test to see if any more run away. And so it's like if you fail, if a guard unit fails the morale test while like in range of a commissar,
Mhm.
rather than like failing it or maybe you get to re-roll it, because the whole thing about morale is like if you fail, it then can start cascading, and your whole unit can run away.
Flee.
If it goes badly, what the commissar does is it basically just executes the one guy and keeps the rest of the unit there.
Nice.
So it's pretty funny. Like I gotta admit, like I enjoy that whole aspect of it. It's quite over the top. But that's a little bit of like the kind of the lore and the feel of the of the faction, which is cool. But yeah, so you got this commissar guy in front of you. But yeah, have you ever built any models before in your life?
No, I have not.
Okay, so we'll kind of start from the beginning. The piece that you have in your like right in front of you, the gray piece with all the parts on it, one plastic piece called a sprue.
Oh, can you repeat that?
This piece is called a sprue.
Okay.
And these are made by, injection molding. So there's an important piece that will come up when we're cutting out the pieces and cleaning them up. There's something called mold lines.
Yep.
That oftentimes, not always, but will run around the piece and they need to be removed. They need to be cleaned up. From my admittedly still limited experience with model building myself, these kits are, particularly the newer ones, are quite good about minimizing those mold lines, and when they are there, they make them so they're not running through over super detailed pieces, or make them as easy to remove as possible. But an important thing or the easiest way to kind of identify them and to make sure you're getting them all is to get a better idea for like what the sprue is and how it works. So like kind of just lay it flat on the table. That's how this is the orientation it's in. Like think of it like this way, at least the orientation it's in when it's being molded. Now like pick it up, leaving it kind of at that orientation, put one hand underneath and one hand on top, kind of sandwiching it together. At this point, your hands represent the two halves of the mold that is used to create these. So like the two halves of the mold come together, they inject the liquid plastic in one end, and it fills this entire piece, so it comes out as one whole piece. So thinking about it that way, going back to like the sandwich, like I've got a sprue here in my hand as well. The the molds come together. That's where the mold line is going to be. It's going to run around the perimeter of the sprue like this. And you got to think about it though. It goes through this entire plane of the sprue itself. So if you are, if you pay attention enough to how you remove a piece, how it was oriented on the sprue itself, you should be able to find where, if any, there's going to be a mold line by how it runs around the piece like that. It's going to run around that entire edge on every side, every way, but that's where it's going to run, is where the two halves of the mold came together.
Okay.
So that's an important kind of thing to be able to conceptualize, because mold lines suck. Mold lines are a bitch, because when you're building the model, they can kind of disappear. Like you can kind of not, just like glance past it, not see it. It's gray plastic on gray plastic. They can be hard to find. But then once you put a single coat of paint on, they come right to the surface and they like stick out like a sore thumb and are just become so obvious.
Yeah.
At that stage, that it's one of the most important parts of building the models and cleaning and preparing. So the next really thing to get to before, I mean, there's no reason to talk about the particular steps out of order. Might as well just kind of go through. The first thing is taking a piece off the sprue. So you also obviously want to look at your instructions.
Wait, before we get to that, I forgot to add the new chat.
Oh, to this scene. Got it.
Yeah, let me just do that.
Yeah, because we forgot to talk about this. Is our first attempt at doing the cross-platform chat.
Yeah, we will see
how that works and what it might look like.
Right, that one.
Yeah, so the first thing you'll want to do is just look at the instructions and see what I mean, in a bigger kit that's like a full unit, at least how I build it, I kind of go at least model by model and sometimes piece by piece, depending on how unique they are. If for a model, like, it's clear that where each piece is going to go, you got this half of the body, the other half of the body, one leg, the other leg, the other arm, like you can clearly tell which is the right arm, which is the left, and the gun and stuff. Yeah, you can cut out all the pieces for the one model at the time.
Yeah, I'm
pretty sure you're going to be able to do that for this guy, because he's just a character. He's just got these few pieces. He goes together really quickly. On that sprue, I think you're only going to have one extra piece. You have a choice of his gun. Either gets a bolt pistol or a plasma pistol.
Yep, I see that.
Plasma pistols cost more points. They do more damage, but they also have a chance of doing damage to you if you use it a certain way. But I always go plasma when I have the choice. Who cares about the points? Plasma's cool. Bolt pistols are boring.
So that's 8B on this.
It's the one that has these little coils on the top. Yeah, the second one. I can't read the letters, it's too blurry, but on my end, but it's the one not by the perimeter of like the page.
Okay. 8A.
Yeah. One just looks like a regular pistol, the other one looks like a sci-fi pistol,
Gotcha.
It's pretty clear. So you could honestly, I'm pretty sure with this with this kit, you could just cut out all the pieces at once. If you did it that way, I would recommend keeping a little bowl or something around, a little like Tupperware container or something for loose pieces, so you don't lose them, because there are admittedly some tiny pieces.
I have a box or an ashtray nearby, so I'm gonna go with one at a time.
Say how clean is the ashtray?
It's recently cleaned, so.
Okay, then no. Unless it's like, unused, I would not advise putting your model in an ashtray.
No, I'll cut them out one at a time.
Yeah, but because this guy is like a single model, those instructions may not be very detailed. It may not even really clearly have a this is step 1, this is step 2. How is it just like
It's
the
just
the
like where the
the
parts go.
it's like the box the cover or like the box art on the front, it's one page, flip it over and it's just that single bit of instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you just kind of like gotta logically from that point maybe work from it's either the midsection out or like the bottom up.
It has it as because it has it numbered, and it has it midsection out.
Okay, yeah, then follow it like that. Follow it by
Okay.
the numbers. So yeah, so you're ready to clip your first piece out.
Okay, so I'm using this tool.
Yeah, you got your little flat clippers there. Admittedly, these ones aren't your they're not top of the line by any means, but they're not something you need to spend a lot of money on. If you were to like get like a nice pair, say like, and this is not an ad or an endorsement for like the Tamiya brand ones, like those ones are like expensive and they're super sharp.
Yeah.
And like you could be like really precise and get really clean cuts with them. These will get the job done, but they are more likely to stress the plastic. So, and it's like only if you have really sharp ones do you recommend. Like, so taking the clippers, you see like the flat end,
Yeah.
like, or the flat side. Regardless, that's always the side that's going towards the piece, towards the model.
Okay.
But what I recommend with using more generic clippers is to not go directly up against the model.
Yeah.
Because again, it's going to pinch and stress the plastic before actually cutting through it. So if you go too close, you have a chance of like gouging into the model itself, and that kind of sucks.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna get cutting.
it requires more cleanup work with the X-Acto blade, which has its own issues and risks, but if controlled, can get you cleaner results, in my experience. Granted, I've only been building and playing Warhammer since the launch of the most recent and current 9th edition.
Okay.
So is that like part of his torso?
That's his torso.
Cool. All right, so you'll have
My camera work needs some
yeah.
work. So I'm going with the X-Acto knife now.
Yeah, if you're going piece by piece, you take the X-Acto knife and, all I can say is be careful. I've sliced myself more times than I can count now. But gotta be careful. If you can, if you get into this, I highly recommend getting a cutting mat. You can get them in various sizes, like a little one for something like this could easily be
Hence
doable.
the
Or
cardboard today.
yeah, no, that'll work fine. That'll work perfectly.
This,
So yeah,
this cardboard box, it's what's like behind most of the soundboard in here. It was from our couch that I recently got from Wayfair. So it was a giant ass box.
right.
All the children that they had to.
Yeah, you gotta be able to have room for the child slaves.
Yeah. So it's provided me with a lot of cardboard.
Right. Okay. The what I do is put kind of like, if I can lie the piece flat and then go up to where like that now extra bit of sprue is that you left on from where you clipped it off, and try to get as close as you can with the X-Acto blade. It's going to become more difficult the duller the blade gets, so you'll I mean, they don't dull too fast. You can get through quite a few models with a single blade, but like, obviously it gets a little bit tougher and potentially a little more hazardous to your fingers.
Yeah.
Um, but you just yeah,
So
that's the trick of all people who do this type of streaming is how do you like get your hands in your face, like, you know, say into and close enough so you can see what you're doing on the
yeah.
model, but then also not block off all the camera shots. You may need to either turn your hat around or remove it. Because it's at this point, it's just the brim. It's just coming right into frame.
I need a haircut, so
Oh, dude, so do I. I need one
so
so
bad.
bad. I have not had a real haircut in so long. I like has started kind of cutting it myself a little bit, and I can't say I enjoy it. It's a bit of a stressful prospect.
Boop. Okay.
Yes. So like the process of using your knife to like remove both those little extra pieces of, whether you want to call them like artifact, or they're not really flash. Flash is a different thing from a different kind of casting technique. Although some of the older of these plastic kits do have flash. I have built up some these guys for a different faction called Kroot. They're these like lizard guys, and the kits are so old at this point. I think they're from 2000. I think from they because on the sprue somewhere it'll say what year
Yeah.
it was made. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they're
this is 2013.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was from 2000. And oh dude, those kits are rough. Like they've got these like little quills and like spiny toes and stuff, and I'm just having to like whittle down and carve off all this little extra plastic flash. There's just this like, you know, extra material that has seeped through from the casting process, and it's annoying. But like usually when I'm cleaning off the extra bits of sprue, this is when I'm also removing mold lines, because the tool you're most likely going to use for that is your X-Acto blade, unless you shell out for the uh the Games Workshop tool. That's a mold line remover that I find useful for maybe some surfaces, some more of the curved surfaces maybe it's good for, but it doesn't get into all the little edges and corners and stuff. So I end up using the hobby knife for almost everything. And so and this, yeah, it goes for both. Again, removing the extra sprue and the mold lines. You use the knife and that stuff, and then if you need to feel like you need to smooth something out, or you gouged a little bit out, or made a little scratch, or uh just need to kind of smooth out some of that little extra bit, you got some sanding files, sanding sticks in that little kit as well.
Nail
And
files.
they're not actually nail files, but it's the same concept. Yeah, they're like emery boards. But they've got different grits on them. And I think I see a tri-grit one in there, which I've found a yeah, that's the brand actually that I use. Or at least it's the same type. I end up only using the two on the one side. I almost never use the really the polishing one on the back. Almost never necessary. The black the black coarse grit gets a lot of the extra stuff off, and then the white side polishes it up. Yeah, so this is the slowest and kind of most arduous bit of the hobby to me. Some people love building models, you know, like just purely the building process. And for people who do like what are called conversions or kit bashing, which is, you know, basically just customizing models, I totally get that. Like as the, you know, a creative expression. It's
Hmm.
just, and I think you gotta like acquire like, you know, bits boxes and or maybe have some like sculpting skills of your own to really kind of push those limits. But I think I would enjoy that more than just the the following the instructions of the building. It's enjoyable enough. It's like so much of the hobbying aspect of it, not necessarily the gaming side of it, is a very kind of relaxing zen experience where you're just kind of focusing on what's in front of you.
Yeah, I'm very focused right now. Oh,
How yeah, you got to be careful about the little fiddly bits on the piece, not to stress those too much.
yeah.
Particularly, there'll be some spots where he's got like either these little like ribbons of things called like purity seals or like different like I think if you choose the plasma gun, has like a power cable that connects, so that's gonna be a little fiddly.
Oh, he already has the power cables
Oh, right,
connected.
right there. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, it might be because he's got like a bionic arm or something. I think I was looking up this this kit before we hopped on stream because I was double checking. I was pretty sure I knew which one I had sent you, but there are a couple different commissar kits available. Some like are special named characters. Then there are just some other different kinds and different sculpts and with some different war gear and stuff. But like some of them are resin models.
Mm.
They're resin kits. So a lot of the process is similar with those, not entirely. You got to clean those off before, like kind of beforehand, at least clip them out and then uh and then wash them off because they've got this kind of greasy coating of mold release on them that's got to come off. And then you can't use plastic glue. You got to use super glue.
Hmm.
And there's maybe some more stuff, some more things later down the line with likelihood of gaps. I don't have a whole lot of experience with resin kits myself. Just kind of secondhand knowledge.
Could have worn like uh head cam.
A headlamp. Oh, a head cam. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say like a headlamp or something
No,
for
I
a
got
light.
so much light blasting on this shit.
Good. Yeah, I've got my two like heavy duty task lamps over my hobby desk. Can never have too much light there. How's it looking? I would
Pretty
say
good.
like make sure you don't like necessarily need to stress over every piece, but I know I'm a bit of a perfectionist myself. I like even when you find like, oh, there's like a mold line that like runs under this piece or is going to get covered up by this one. Like, no, I gotta get rid of it. It might fuck it up. It might show through somehow. All
Yeah, I
like
just wanted to clean up the where I was cutting.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah,
Next.
you just like you get you eventually as you build more models, you get the feel for like, how to or say what, like what products work well. Like there are some models where these kind of uh uh sanding sticks are
Hmm.
like they're too thick, you can't get into tough corners. What I use for that is just I've got some really high grit sandpaper
Yep.
that I can cut out little bits of. It's not my preferred way to do it. Like some people use these like little sanding twig things that I always find because they like come in these big packs and they're all random, and it's usually like they're all different colors and colors correspond to different grits and so there's not a uniform thing, but the only uniform thing is that one side is a coarser grit than the other.
Yep.
But like some of them are super fucking coarse and like on plastic like this, it just scratches them to shit. And it's like I had one time ordered a pack of them and tried to use them and found them unusable. I was just ruining them. I ruined like a model trying to use them. So I've kind of defaulted onto these, but like anything with, more practice and experience, you figure out when you like when you need to, be careful about how you're cutting it off the sprue. Like if you've got like the bottom of his foot, like it connects to the sprue at the bottom of his foot. The bottom of the foot is going to go on the base.
Yep.
It's going to get glued to the base. So if you like gouge into the bottom of his foot by, using the clippers a little carelessly or going right, right up to the edge and it cuts a little bit out, who cares? It's going to get glued to the base. No one's ever going to see it. So you figure out those things as you also get a feel for how the models go together, little tricks. But that little kit that you had a lot of good stuff, but
Yeah, it does.
but
Got
there
the
there are
tweezers.
but there are some things that like become a little more useful as you go along. Like I've just got I mean I use them just for so many general things now, but like, the little, hand crank carpenter's clamps and those kind of things help keeping pieces together if you're trying to like smush two halves of something. That's
I
one.
actually have a bunch of clips and clamps. Oddly
Good.
enough.
Good. There you go. Yeah. So like, yeah,
Or
they.
like, is it that odd? I'm just like a little old Italian man in training.
Mhm. Yeah. You got your inherited toolbox
Yeah, exactly.
just in your
Multiple inherited toolboxes.
yeah with like half a wrench set from 1955.
Yeah, and then my girlfriend's got like tools from her dad that are literally from Russia,
Mm,
from the USSR.
yeah. Excellent.
Yeah,
Say a literal hammer and sickles.
yeah.
There's also so you've got the kind of the big bottle of plastic glue there. There are some other that's good for a lot of all-purpose stuff for getting started. In particular, it's all I used for a while, but
Hmm.
then it there's another kind of plastic glue or plastic cement you can get that's like a little jar thing where the cap has a brush on it.
Okay.
And those are really useful for when you're putting pieces together. You can kind of clean up some if like you've this bottle that you have here is really good in particular for big pieces or like big connection points because you can put quite a lot of glue in it if you need to, which I would say always when we get to it we'll talk about, there's a whole discussion about gluing and plastic glue and the perils of plastic glue.
All right, I'm
um
ready to hear it.
but so you usually want to err on the side of less glue. But there are some points where you need like you've got a long, big connection, or like you're trying to like again put two halves of something together where there's likely to be a seam that's going to come around. It's really useful to have this type of this glue that you have to lay down, a thick line, put the pieces together, kind of squish them, maybe use a clamp to put pressure on it, and then you go in with the brush plastic glue
Yep.
and you clean up any bits that have now squished out. Because the way plastic glue works is on contact, it melts the plastic and
Oh,
creates
interesting.
and creates a weld between the two pieces. So they create really strong connections.
Yeah.
And it works well. And even this bottle right here, which is not designed as quick drying, they start to like cure quite quickly as well and start to bond. You got to be careful. You got to give it a little bit of time, but they don't take forever to hold on. They start to bond pretty quickly. But yeah, so like it starts to melt the plastic. So again, in that scenario where you're smushing two halves of something together, it can be to your benefit because it will then auto fill the seam or the gap where
Yep.
two pieces are coming together, but it's going to like bulge out and look kind of shitty. So then you got to go around with the taking more plastic glue to kind of melt down the stuff, and you move around. Do you have a question about that?
Yeah, is this the stick that you were talking about?
No, that's a file. That's a metal
But
file. Though I would not use those
I'm not planning on it.
on your plastic models. Those are more for metal models, which are admittedly more rare today nowadays, but they can also be useful for resin models. But yeah, I would not recommend metal files on on plastic. These these kind of emery board things are definitely better. But no, the things I was talking about are these. They're literally like a couple millimeters thick, and they're very bendable, spongy kind of things that just on two sides have these little strips of different grits of sandpaper. And why I didn't like them is because again, it's like maybe in the bag you've got a few different colors and again corresponding to the different grits that could be serviceable for these things. But then you've got half of them that again are like, suitable for sanding wood.
Yep.
So with with this method of if you're just going piece by piece like this,
Yep.
you'll want to then when you've got two pieces that can be glued together to do it, give give them a chance to cure while you're then cleaning up the next piece, the next sets of pieces that will go on. So then it'll be cured by the time you're ready to move on. But also that way you're not going to lose pieces. Looks like we got Rick in the chat. What's going on, Rick?
What up, Rick? Thank you.
Say, Rick, we're finally getting getting the rest of them to say so Mike, I sent Rick the bottle of that of the plastic glue with the brush.
Yep.
So Rick, did you spill your bottle of plastic glue? I've done it. I admit I've done it. It sucks. Particularly when you spill it on a sprue.
It's not coming up in the fuck.
Oh yeah, I'm not seeing it on the stream itself. I'm just looking in chat. Do you need to like bring it forward or something? Yeah, yeah, Rick. I feel your struggles there.
I don't have it set up.
Yeah, it's terrible. So Rick, what are your thoughts on your Tyranids you're building? What are your next steps for your models? I'm always interested to know. But once we at least get everybody up to a combat patrol style game, we gotta have another like purely gaming retreat rather than a work one.
Rick, type something in the chat.
Do it,
Like
Rick.
also.
Say this is a test. Oh, there you go. Popped up.
Okay. All right.
All right,
Back to sanding.
back to the grindstone. Is there a way for you to expand your screen on from what I'm seeing?
Oh, yeah, yeah, sorry.
Perfect.
Also, there. I
Yeah,
know, like,
play around with it, Like that's what this first go at it's about, finding what's going on. What do you need? What do you need, Rick? I'm confused.
need the retreat, the gaming retreat.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
just went on a vacation. That's what you're.
Excuse me.
Huh?
But I'm interested for you to build your first tank, Mike. Your first Lehman Russ. Be awesome. Yeah, I want to look at some stuff. I want to look at some I'm pretty sure they've been putting out some good boxes for guard lately. I'm pretty sure I was talking to Rick about this that so they've announced that they haven't announced what they are, but they've announced that they're going to be doing a few more codex releases before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the way it works is that there's the core rules that are out, and then each army has their own special rules that are in, as well as all their data sheets, which is all their all their stats and stuff is put together in what's called a codex.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was talking to Smokey yesterday that GW puts out all these models. That's what they're known for, but in reality, they're a publishing company. They're a publisher.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Like, I'm surprised that Hasbro and Wizards doesn't own this.
This is a British company,
Okay, that's why.
long
Or one of the reasons.
long-standing, long-standing British company. Now, I think it was. I don't know if I don't actually know its exact origin. Just want to play the patrol. Need to paint. Have all my gene stealers built. Only thing not assembled is the Trigon. Get to work on that Trigon, man. Come on. He's a big boy, I know, but gotta. For you pick Tyranids, your things are going to be swarms of gene stealers and then some big bugs. We get used to those two. Uh, but yeah, so I was saying like GW is really a publishing company because they've got this huge arm that's all like the lore that's just published through fiction novels.
Mm-hmm.
They've got their official publishing wing is called Black Library. But then even for the games themselves, the way they design things, the way their business model is set up, it's all about pushing books. It's all about pushing physical paper books with like all sorts of say the codexes, supplements, army supplements, different campaign or mission rules and competitive stuff, narrative campaigns, updates to all these things. It's all about pushing books.
Yeah, I had heard people like about people reading the books. Um, I didn't know that that was how they
There's some
pump it
people
out.
who there's some people who that's the only thing they do with the hobby.
Yep.
They just like the lore. They just like reading the books. I mean, I'm not gonna knock too much of it, but like the books are what they are. Like I've listened to a bunch of them now. They're enjoyable, entertaining, very pulpy kind of they're not high literature by any means. But for what they are, they're enjoyable. But like, they suffer a lot from the kind of this major IP institution kind of setting, very much like old expanded universe Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
Like authors are very limited by what the established canon is. Certain characters just have say they have just plot armor. Like you just know these characters, like you can't touch these certain characters, so there are no stakes. And for a lot of these things that it's like all the named characters will always survive and all like the random people are just again just more chaff for the threshers. uh Rick, I'm very pleased to hear that you're reading Dune at the moment. I'm the guy outside the window with the sickos shirt saying yes, yes.
One of my favorite memes.
It's an evergreen one for a reason. Are you reading it? I assume in preparation from the Denis Villeneuve production that's coming out. Which the more people like shit on it, the more excited I get. The more I want to watch it. Really enjoying it. Yeah, it's wild. Frank Herbert is we'll say an interesting writer, not necessarily the not really his prose, is not the best, but like the concepts, the world building is undeniable. I'm gonna be really pissed if the movie if not to uh or like how much of the general plot story of Dune are you aware of, Rick? I don't want to spoil anything. Granted, it's a story that's been around for decades and decades, so.
Yeah, no, just no spoiler alert.
Okay, I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna be really upset if they at the end if they don't call it the Paul's jihad, if they don't call it a jihad, I'm gonna be really fucking mad because that's what they did. That's what was in the book, and it's hilarious and amazing. It's like if they change it, it's gonna be hilarious. Oh yeah, I was looking at stuff for the guard. But let's look at combat patrol first.
Forgot to
Okay, there's not.
forgot to do some of that self promo for the channel. I am very proud of my scene that I built this morning.
No, it looks good.
Thank you.
I like it a lot. Hey, we're gonna have to steal it for the group channel. Yeah, so it's has Paul made it to the desert yet, Rick? Because I don't honestly know how much further in the movie is gonna go. Because I'm pretty sure they're splitting this like what would be the first book into two movies. No, it should just be this story should be like a mini series. It's just like not really adaptable in a movie
No
format.
fucking book like that is adaptable in a movie form. And it was stupid that Harry Potter was movies. Not that I'm
Well, that was like I mean there at that time that wasn't even a concept.
no, I know.
I get and that's a lie. Miniseries have always been around, but like you're never
Game
gonna
of
get like a
Thrones
a
hadn't.
premium, say premium money, like the money that was always gonna be put into to then be taken out of some franchise like that. That
Yeah.
was never going to TV at that time. Oh, okay, so there is a start collecting uh guard box. Like it comes with it comes with an extra one of the guy you're building right now. Comes with an
Okay.
extra commissar, and then it comes with I think a Acadian. Yeah, you get a Lehman Russ battle tank, and yeah, an Acadian shock troops that comes with a heavy weapon team as well. It's admittedly not that many units. It's technically only 3 units. It's not great. So let's just look at the.
Okay. I think I'm ready to glue.
All right. So now comes the oh, the Tyranid box was much better for start collecting though. for the value of what you got. Like I feel like I don't know, 10 gene stealers are better, or 8 gene stealers, however, are better than that selection of. I mean, although I'd have to do the points check because it's probably close to a patrol force, which I guess. No, I think the Tyranid box is a good one. Okay, so the main perils of plastic glue.
Yeah.
So what you got right there, you got to take that little needle thing, the little nozzle piece that's now stuck in the cap.
Yep.
Gotta take that out, put that back in. So long as it's in the bottle, it's fine. Like you can actually sometimes you find it's easier to have it be longer, the piece be longer, but yeah, as long as it's in there, it's fine. But so before you put any glue, the as I told you, plastic glue melts plastic
Yep.
on contact.
Yep.
So you want to avoid, putting too much glue,
Yep.
particularly when it comes to how you're putting it together, because one of the worst things that can happen is getting extra plastic glue on a finger that then presses onto the model because it just will it'll just melt a fingerprint
Yep.
right into the plastic. And most often when it happens, it's right across the front where all the detail is, and it fucking sucks, and it's really hard to fix and make say to salvage in any way. One of the only ways to do it is with the kind of glue that Rick has, the bottle that he spilled, because you can because it's like it's kind of paradoxical in the sense that you're like, oh, I fucked it up with putting too much glue on, so how do I fix it? Oddly enough, it's you use more glue.
Yep.
You take not as much, but you wet one of the little brush that comes in it, and you basically remelt this fucked up plastic so that it kind of lies flat and goes back to some semblance of what it was originally. But it's like the the death curse of a good model is getting a a gluey thumbprint on your model. So
So
you always yeah, sorry, go ahead.
my plan with this, I know it's not great, the camera, but
Hmm.
just a little dot right there.
Yep.
Boop. And then come down on it with this guy.
Yeah.
Boop.
Yeah.
And that's
And
it.
it's like yeah, you can use just a little on that. That looks like yeah, the perfect spot for, say following the instructions on where the connection is. And yeah, that's always another point. Before you ever put any glue on, always dry fit.
I'll always
Always
what?
always dry fit.
Yep. Yeah.
So like just so you're aware of how it goes together. I would say with the possible exception of the models that are sold as push fit miniatures, because sometimes with a push fit miniature, you dry fit it, you can't get it undone,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, nice because like that's what the whole point of them being advertised as. Oh, thank you, Rick.
Cool.
But it's like it's being advertised as push fit. It's like, yeah, you can put it together and you don't need glue. Most people still end up gluing those models, and oftentimes because you'll still get those seams and stuff
All right.
because there's
I'm
no glue.
going
So yeah,
for it.
go ahead, just do a little drop. Well, if it doesn't cure and doesn't fit, or doesn't work out, you can always redo it.
I got like cat hair and beard
Yep.
hair on me.
Yep. That's say hazard of the trade.
How does this come out of the bottle?
If it's not coming out, you're gonna need to take the nozzle out. What I do is hold it in a pair of like you can either use your tweezers or if you've got a pair of pliers, just grip it in there and take a lighter
What I figured.
and put it to one end. And careful, it's highly flammable and it will shoot out one end, but that if it gets clogged, that will unclog it. Pretty much every time it'll unclog it. Anytime I've had clogged, that's worked. You kind of got to tip it to the right point and put the flame under it, and it'll usually go. Yeah, you do gotta be careful because the plastic glue is highly flammable.
Still don't think I.
Excuse me. Yeah, it becomes a stream of Mike burning his apartment down. Yeah.
Still not coming out. I would hope that this like tiny bit of plastic glue wouldn't do that.
No, maybe should be fine. Um, make sure just that although it looked like you put like the nozzle in far enough that it broke any seal that was around the bottle. I don't think that's the issue. But just try it again. Just make sure it's in the bottle and in contact with the glue and give it a shot there. Another thing is that when you finally do get it going with this glue, once it starts going, it just runs until you stop. You need to put almost very little pressure on it. Sometimes you need to put the little pressure, get it started, but then once it goes, it starts going. So it's again once you figure it out and get it actually going, you got to be careful
Right.
when it's
I'm.
finally clear.
I think I get a. No, paperclip is still too big.
Yeah, you would if you're gonna actually clear it like that, you'd need something like a fucking needle.
Yeah. So I might have a sewing needle.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm just as while I'm looking at here, they've got some different boxes that eh, like double the price and doesn't really actually get you that much more. So you get you get a Chimera and a Lehman Russ, the same bit of the Cadians. You get 20 more Cadians, basically. 20 more Cadians plus the Chimera for basically twice the price. Oh, wait, no. No, that's not true. You get the Command Squad. Yeah, that's a pretty good box. $185 though.
Why did your O come in with an accent?
Sorry, I didn't. If it
No,
did,
not you. Rick Angles. Decision.
yeah, it's got a little guy. How do you decide what piece to buy next? Okay, Rick. So I mean, you can build an army around, anything you want. Like you should kind of like recommend uh, you know, building any army around units and models that you find interesting because that's going to be your biggest source of inspiration for actually putting the models together and painting them. Is, I really like this model. I want to get it on I want to get it on the tabletop. Um, so that's the first place to start. Is see like what model do I think is really fucking cool, and do I really want to build an army around? That's the way to do it. And then from there, you go into the rule book that describes army building, which is not looks a little complex, but once you figure it out, it's not that it's not that complicated. It's more that they have to be army has to be organized in a particular way into what are called detachments. And so every unit in the game, in every army, has what's called a battlefield role. And so the guy that he's building right now, honestly, he's either an HQ, so like a commander, or he might be an elite. I don't know. Commissars might be weird like that. There are some characters that come in as elites, but most characters are what are called HQ, and those are your commanders, your leaders on the battlefield. Then you've got troops, which are obviously what they sound like, and your basic kind of grunts and bodies. Then you've got elites, which are your more specialized guys. Fast attack, again, pretty self-explanatory, moving around the battlefield much faster, accomplishing things for an army like getting on objectives and that kind of stuff. Then you got your heavy support, which those are your big hitters. And finally, you got any flyers, anything that any ships, any planes, any things like that. Um, But so again, you've picked the models that really speak to you, that you really want to like build an army around. You find their battlefield role, you got to fit them into a slot in a detachment, and you see how they fit, because the way the detachments work, depending on the size of the game that you're playing, you could have a certain number of detachments. Um, in like combat patrol, it's like you have one detachment, and it can only be a combat, or it can only be a patrol detachment. But then for bigger games, you can basically choose what you want within certain limits. Again, it's like the next size up, you can only have two, and it's only at the really big games you can get three or more. But most people try to do one to at most two detachments. And you see, like starting off as a beginner, focused on one detachment. You you go detachments are based on keywords, in that an army doesn't get, or only gets its army bonus abilities if every single unit in the detachment has the same faction keyword. So but then you can have an army that's, say, like a detachment of, say, Mike's Imperial Guard, that shares the overall Imperium keyword with, say, Imperial Knights, which are the big robots. That's a legal army because they both share the Imperium keyword, even though their particular army keywords are different. But it's usually, I think, m- uh, they have to have the same keywords, in the same army keywords, or faction keywords, that is, in a detachment. Yes. And then so again, you've picked your model, see where that slots into either you're most likely your patrol or battalion detachment. And each detachment then has room for all those different types of units, with the different battlefield roles: HQ, troops, elites, fast attack, heavy support, and flyers. The detachments are different from each other by how many slots there are for each category. In each detachment, these are different, but is often at least a certain minimum you must take for select battlefield roles, mainly being an HQ and some troops. There are more specialized detachments that require other things, like you need to have it's a way to say get a shit ton of heavy support, so you need to include a bunch of heavy support. But most often it's the minimums are going to be like you got to include one HQ and one troop. Those are the minimum requirements for a patrol detachment. You must have an HQ and you must have a troop role. But then all the other slots have maximum slots. So then it's up to you. You fill those slots with however many points you have left to build your army. And that's how you create a list. And it's always best to start off again. What's your creative idea for, like, that's inspired by these models? What ideas do you have for a fighting force based off of this one particular guy? Say like you really want, like for Rick's case, you really want to have the Swarm Lord be be your warlord and your guy running things. So you build around him. Like look at in if you want to if you're more competitive based, you look in rules and see what units work to in tandem and buff each other and all that. But that's not my preferred way to do it necessarily. I just like certain units and I try to build around them. And if they're not ideal, then whatever.
Twitch is still saying that my connection is unstable because
Your bit
it's
rate is too good.
yeah.
No,
The
man,
rent
it's
is
that
too damn high.
I say the like Twitch, we're just little worms over here. Like you're too I say you're too advanced
I
for
have
the
no clue what it
sad little
looks
piss
like on
pigs.
YouTube. And YouTube, you could set the bit
Yeah, here
rate to like 30.
let me check. Let me check. So is your YouTube page just under Cut the Mic?
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks fine.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks better than Twitch.
Nice.
Hands down, looks better than Twitch. Yeah, so Rick, what models for you are intriguing? Which big bugs are you trying to bring? But like yeah, or Mike, like you could just like want to bring as many tanks as possible. That's a totally valid thing because Guard even has an HQ guy who can run a tank. He's
Okay.
a tank commander. You know, a tank commander can be your warlord. Just a dude on top of a tank giving orders and blowing shit up.
Where's Smokey? I figured he would wander in.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, but I think I was talking about this earlier, but maybe that was when Rick first popped in. And I didn't finish my thought. But I was talking to him earlier that Games Workshop has announced that like there's going to be some new codex releases
Mm-hmm.
at the before the end of the year, and basically they've announced that there's going to be one Imperial faction and one Xenos faction. And I think there's a strong likelihood that they're both Guard and Tyranids. I think it's really likely with a lot of the other models that they've been putting out. I think it's been hinting at that they're going to those are going to be one of the next ones. Okay, so the yeah Tyranid warriors you're one of your other basic troops choice, Rick. But as that was one thing it's a little bit more of a competitive play. The thing that I was talking to you about earlier about so Tyranids get to within their overall larger faction of Tyranids, they get these sub factions called hive fleets, and each one, gets a special rule in something. So, the advice was take the Kraken Hive Fleet, which like allows you like a crazy. It's like this. You get this crazy rule for advancing, which is just an extra movement thing, and uh, it's like basically it allows your gene stealers who have the ability to advance and charge on the same turn to like instead of rolling 1d6 for your additional movement on advance, you like roll like 3d6 and then you can spend a stratagem to like double it. and then charge again. So it's like you can like run with a swarm of like 20 gene stealers, you can just run them across the board in one turn and just, fuck some shit up. Was, so that's a competitive list build idea, but like it's not always the best way to go about it, in my opinion. It's more about, again, what speaks to you. So you say like the Swarm Lord is dope, the Harpy. Here, I'm pulling up the range on my computer, but I am for some reason not finding. Oh, Xenos armies. There we go. There are way more Xenos armies than that. Come on, what are you doing? Why are you telling me there are only three? There we go. Three Xenos armies. There we go. The Tyrannofex. Yeah, he's got a big gun. Kind of funny. Then Tyranid Warriors. The Harpy. Which one's the Harpy? I think that one's got a. Oh, that's one of the flyers. He's got wings. A lot of your basic or more basic, I guess, units. Again, I don't necessarily think you can call the Swarm Lord basic, but like you've got a lot of options there, Rick. Like where if you want to have some guy flying, you can put wings on him. Like they give you those options. Like because the whole thing about Tyranids is that they they're at this hive consciousness thing that like just uh roams through the galaxy, devouring all like biomass and like converting it to its own usage and just creating more of its own uh uh just creating more of the swarm itself. And so the like when a high fleet makes landfall or whatever, it absorbs some of like the local the local genetic profile, so then it adapts so that it can survive on this particular world, and then so it can better consume on that world. And then so they're constantly changing, adapting, uh new kinds are being like mutating and evolving and all that stuff. So it's like if you want to have this dude have wings, you can do it, because like maybe the conditions required that he had wings, and the High Fleet, you know, provided. Let's see. It's Tyranid Warriors. They're a little bit of a small unit, but that's a good one. So you're reading a bit about that. Yeah, you can be so fast with the Kraken High Fleet. Neurothrope, Turvagon. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there a lot of these guys are really cool. Yeah, the Turvagon. You like the big thick boys, Rick.
Like those big generals.
Yeah, no, these are let's say like the Turvagon and the Tyrannofax are just like these big like almost kind of dinosaur looking bug things with just, huge dumpers. Does like the big boys, can't deny. Can't deny it. Hmm. Yeah, Rick, Tyranids are like one of like the more like competitive factions right now. Like the Dino-ish look, yeah. Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. I definitely like them.
So I successfully glued this guy.
Nice. Yeah,
And
it's
he
looking good.
seems cured.
Looking good. Yeah, like I said, it may not be fully dry. Like if you were to work at it, it would totally come apart.
Yeah.
But like it'll take a little bit longer to truly fully cure all the way. But like it is now, yeah, it is workable.
So what I did was I pulled the metal thing out,
Uh-huh.
and
And
then
dipped
just
it.
like poured a little bit on it, and then just made a little dip, 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 dip,
I mean, I
little
guess that
dots.
works. That's a pain in the ass. I'm sorry that you had to do it that way.
That's fine.
Um,
So can I put this dad on there now?
yeah. Rick wants to see it closer to the camera.
The camera kind of sucks at the
Yeah,
moment.
in the future, yeah, you want the better camera
Yeah.
on the table.
In the future, I just want a second camera that's better, but
True.
I
True.
was not switching these bad boys today.
Yeah.
Sorry, chat.
Yeah, he doesn't have a head. He doesn't have a head yet. One of the last kind of little pieces of advice that unfortunately you don't I don't it's one of the tools you don't have.
Yep.
Take a quick look at the guns, even if they're still on the sprue. The one question I have is about the plasma pistol. I think you would need to do it on the plasma pistol as well, particularly with how the sprue joins right there. Basically, you when you have guns, you always need to drill out the gun barrels. You don't need to go very far, and you don't need to like go crazy, but like it's like a it's a faux pas to leave your gun barrels
Gotcha.
undrilled. You can get away with actually using
The
the X-Acto
exacto
knife,
knife. Yeah.
just poking in, and you risk dulling and even snapping off the tiny little tip of your X-Acto blade, which is not great. Um, but
I
you
got a
can't,
lot of exacto blades.
yeah, you can't accomplish that with an X-Acto knife. Maybe not as well, but like the main tool you use is a pin vise, like a little hand drill.
Yep.
And you can get those very cheap. You can get like a little set very cheap for like $6. No, you gotta be careful about those little bits. They fucking snap. I learned that lesson. Rick, this is a officio per something commissar. So it's a um under the armies of the Imperium, Astra Militarum. It is a where are you? An officio perfectus commissar. And I think Mike's plan is to go with how it is depicted in the box art and do the plasma pistol. But he's equipped with a plasma pistol and a power sword. It's a good sculpt. I like this sculpt.
Yeah, it looks cool.
They've got some other commissars that I don't like as much. The special commissar Yarrick one, he's a named character. He's pretty cool. I like the power claw. I don't like the Lord Commissar as much. It's too static. The Commissar with Power Fist is pretty funny because it's like he's like he's reading from a book. Like he's inspiring the troops on the battlefield by reading a book. It's very funny. But as I'm like kind of co-building a Necron army with Smokey,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure after that my next army is going to be orcs. I'm debating between is either orcs or the Adeptus Mechanicus. Those dudes are pretty cool. They've got all sorts of like weird like mechadendrite like mechanical arms and like mechanical spider legs and all this kind of stuff. They're a cool faction. Their models are pretty wild. So one thing I don't it's like I don't know about how a lot of people how a lot of people collect guard, how they go about it, because there is a lot of freedom in that, like, you can basically create a regiment of whatever you want. Like, if particularly if you are, say, a fan of the lore, you can create like any random regiment, or you can just, if you want to use it as inspiration for, oh, I just really want to do this paint scheme,
Mhm.
and I'll make up a regiment to go with it. So that's kind of cool. But then they do have some more like well-known ones from the lore and stuff that are like super particular to like so one of them is like the Valhallans, which are like from an ice planet. So all their models like have like these furs and stuff. There are there was another one that I'm trying to. Oh, there's like, yeah, there's a bunch of other things like the Steel Legion and the um oh, crap. No, there's another one too. Because it's basically the main line of models that Games Workshop sells are these two types, either the Cadians or the Catachans. And like the Cadians are like kind of like they just look kind of like standard guard-ish kind of thing. The Catachans are the ones that have a little bit more flavor, different to them. They're basically like they're from a jungle world. They're very Rambo-esque in their look. But those are like the main lines. And then there's another one, the Tempestus Scions, which are essentially like a completely different sub faction within it. But then on the Games Workshop there's like I don't things I need to learn more about the specifics of. I don't know if it's like a subsidiary or a partnership or something. There's like another site that you can go to. This other what I'll call a company called Forge World,
Mhm.
which it's like if you go to forgeworld.com and gamesworkshop.com, the two websites, like essentially beyond the different titles, look exactly the same. It's like, the same design, same tabs, that kind of stuff. But like Forge World has like it's like their higher end range.
Mhm.
They've got like lots of cool, highly detailed, big vehicles. Like that's where you get all the big models are from Forge World. But then they're more specialized ones. Like I think you can get some of those specialized troop option, like those specialized guards regiments from Forge World. But not a lot, they don't have a lot, and the range is not extensive. So it takes a lot of creativity and, like I've said the words conversions and kit bashing, so it's creating them yourselves, finding elements from either other kits, other model ranges, or 3D printing, or hand sculpting using things like green stuff and other putties and the like to design your own special uh regiment. I don't know how people do it. I don't know I don't know how many are there. Do people who collect guard mostly just do Cadians and or Catachans, like the full, like it's like the full range supports, or are there a lot? Is it one of the more extent or one of the more or one of the bigger kit bashing conversion uh factions? I don't know. It's one thing I'd like to learn. Looking good. Careful of that finger. Careful of those fingies. Oh, it was looking. So you're looking at Tyranids on Forge World. Hilarious. So Rick, Forge World sells the biggest 40K models are the Battle Titans, which are Imperial these big Imperial robots, even bigger than Imperial Knights. And then the Tau Manta, which is this huge ship that itself can hold like a full 2,000 point army inside of it. It's nuts. All right, Forge World is asking me if I'm human. Please click each image containing an airplane. Oh, okay. I probably waited way too long. Still doing airplanes. There are lots of trains and trucks and then airplanes. Ooh, that thing is nuts. Jeez. Tyrannid Hierophant Biotitan. Fuck. I wonder how many points he is. He must be like, an equivalent of a battle titan. So this is a resin kit standing approximately 10 inches tall. That's pretty nice. Although not nearly close to the most expensive um, on Forge World. Not nearly. The Titans go something like $2,000. But yeah, on the front of the Forge World page, they do have stuff for like the line of there's one of those specialist. Nice. One of those specialist guard units is called the Death Corps of Krieg. They're one of the features of the new Kill Team launch. Um, yeah, the Manta is $1,000. Yeah, it's huge. They're enormous. They're ridiculous. Um, so yeah, these Death Corps of Krieg, they're very like they're very much like a World War One. The all hail the Kaiser kind of unit. They've got like they've got a very trench warfare aesthetic. Like all their helmets are missing are like the literal spikes on the top. They've got like the gas masks, the mustard gas masks, and they look really cool. They're good. They're cool models. Um, I think before this new Kill Team launch, I think the only place you could get them was on Forge World. Yeah, let's see. But like a lot of the huge tanks, Mike, are gonna be Forge
Holy
World. Oh
shit. 440? Sorry, I was just looking at I finally
no,
looked at
as
the
we're
price.
like we were saying,
Yeah.
the big one of their biggest model, the Tau Manta, is $1,000. I think that yeah, the Manta is bigger than the Titan, but the Warlord Titan is like over 2,000. It's like over 2,000. That's the most expensive. That is the Titans are the most expensive. But those are nuts. You have to play a particular game for those. The smallest Titan, the Warhound Titan, is itself, as a single model, 2,000 points. So it's basically an army in one model. Is he fully assembled?
No, his torso, legs, and base are assembled.
Excellent.
So
So
back to cutting.
yeah, so like again, remember the last thing you don't want to forget about trying to drill out some bit of a gun barrel.
Yeah. The gun
Uh
is the last thing on here.
okay. And it's just to make sure that you do that drilling before you glue it.
Yep.
Make sure you do that before you glue it. And I'd actually leave careful about don't cut the head out yet. If you can save it. I usually leave the head for last if I can, because
Okay.
that way you can orient it like you can get a sense of the motion and pose of the rest of the model, and then you can get a better look. Okay, where should he be looking? He's aiming his gun this way. Do I want him looking down that way, or is he like again, depending on the pose, is he holding it up and he's like looking this way, or something like that. So that way you don't put it on and he's not looking in the wrong direction. So yeah, I recommend putting the head on last. So the game I think is called Adeptus Titanicus, Rick. I think it's so it's its own system. It's got its own rules. You could, I think, bring Titans into an apocalypse game, which is again itself a larger game. But yeah, so I think the Adeptus Titanicus is a game with its own rules that just has those big guys, the big Titans. Then Apocalypse is a game using the armies from the 40K range, but in an size way beyond what's the maximum upper limit for an actual 40K game. But they've got a whole bunch of other individual games. So Adeptus Titanicus, it's like oh, fuck, what's it called? Is it something? Is it Adeptus Aeronauticus or something like that? It's like a flyer one. I think I got the name wrong, but and that's not also to mention that Games Workshop makes the Lord of the Rings war game. No, that's not what I want. Hmm. No, that's what I want. But they've got like Games Workshop puts out a lot of different games because they've got all sorts of boxed games, and they've got like I say, Kill Team 40K and Apocalypse are essentially you could consider three different rule sets for what is effectively, this is not true, but effectively the same game. It's just these different sizes. Like 40K is your main army size game that in and of itself has a range of size. Apocalypse are the super big end. It's like way beyond like these games are huge. And then Kill Team, particularly the old version, this latest version has been rebuilt from the ground up. But like it essentially was its previous version was a game of 40K in very small bits. You've got just a handful of models. It's called a skirmish game. But then they've got a still in the universe setting. They've got the game of Necromunda, but that takes place in what's called the underhive of a hive city in the 40K universe. But the the factions are all these different gangs, including basically a group of cops. And what I love in the preview for Necromunda, they talk about how like the like I can accept that they basically have to say this that it's like the only people keeping order in the Underhive is like these guys, the Palatine enforcers, or maybe not. They did say like, or maybe not. They're fucking around and being just as criminal as the rest of these guys. So I appreciate that element of it. But that is another example of the skirmish game. But then yeah, Adeptus Titanicus. They've got the flyer one, which I'm blanking on the name of. Um, I saw this idea because I've been getting into the narrative play version of 40K and just like trying to look up what is the narrative campaign like in 40K and just found this like in an article that was talking about here all the different ways to do it and a cool example of something that was like I think it was called like a tree campaign. So it's like obviously certain effects like or certain outcomes affect where it goes and it branches out. Um, it was like starts off, yeah, it's just one like two factions going up against each other in this campaign. They fight a battle. Depending on who wins, they go and rather than playing another game of 40K, they play a game of Kill Team. It's like a small recon mission. And then depending on who wins that, they go and play another game of 40K. And then depending on that outcome, they play a game of the Aeronauticus one, the flying one. So it's an aerial battle. And depending on that, then they go back to maybe another game of Kill Team or another bigger game of 40K or mixing all the different games into one cohesive campaign. I really liked that idea, But it's like that means you then got to have all those models, you got to know all the rule sets, you got to, do all that shit, and that's a lot. That's asking a lot. It is a cool idea, but in practice, I don't know how feasible something like that would ever be.
His little board things difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
I'm
don't
not
get
fretting
too,
over it,
or
but
say like, don't get too afraid of the glue. You got to use your fingers sometimes. Like, like sometimes, tweezers are too delicate and like, or you fuck up and you just got to kind of use your meaty fingers to just kind of stick it in. Uh, so you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. But like, yeah, the fiddly bits are always gonna be fiddly, and you gotta takes a little bit of experimentation. But
yeah.
so Rick, one of the channels that I follow, like on YouTube, one of the Warhammer YouTubers has done like a kind of a fan campaign thing where they like he did some drive for followers or something and was able to get a warlord titan. Has just been doing this now. It's been going on for months. This series of building it up and painting it and all this, and it's gonna be crazy because like those are like really the only like people who is like it's feasible to get a titan because it's like who's actually playing with that guy. The thing is like literally the size of like a small like infant, maybe even a little bit larger, like like an actual child. This thing is fucking huge. It's like where the fuck are you gonna keep it? How are you gonna play it? Not to mention who's gonna shell out over 2 grand for this big robot that again is basically just a display piece. Admittedly a very cool one. I love me some big robots, some big mechs, but not for that price. Oh, I said to Mike already, but Rick, Smokey actually has 2 units built now, so he's getting even closer. Yeah, the builds for those are crazy because they're all resin, and like resin has its own bit of problem, like it has its own issues to work with, particularly those really big pieces. They like are so prone to like warping that like they could almost be unusable. Like there's some there it's a daunting challenge to build a kit that big. Like these pieces are I mean it is cool. I haven't watched too much of that series I was just talking about. I kind of have dipped in here or there. He does it a lot on live stream. Um the what's cool about that kit though, it ranges. There's some huge pieces and then there's some little itty bitty ones like for that you would consider like the size for a regular scale model. It's like, all like the finger joint things are these little tiny pieces. Take like a couple days just to build one hand. But they're definitely an adventure. But it seems to be a trend now is that a lot of these hobby creators are doing these crazy builds for as a push for, it's like if they've gotten X number of people on Patreon or subscribers or something that they buy like either a night or like several have bought the Manta and are gonna build it. One of the channels is gonna do something like a game of Kill Team on top of a Manta because it's so big. It's enormous. Again, the thing is fucking huge. It's like it goes beyond like the arm span that I can show in my camera window.
That's ridiculous. I've been very focused on
I know it takes focus and it's actually like it's quite enjoyable. Like even though find it the more stressful part of it, it's still like that you just let everything else just kind of wash over you. Oh, the yeah, what I don't know about the Manta is that like, can you actually take your real models and put them in it, or are like the things it comes with fixed in the Manta, or like I'm pretty sure it may be a mix of the two, because I know it's like they've got it fits a whole bunch of vehicles, a bunch of flyers. I'm pretty sure those are removable, but then there's like rows of like benches for like troops for just your regular Tau fire warriors, and I think those are permanently fixed in. It says you can? Okay, then I believe it. Particularly for the vehicles. I know those fit and those are separate. And so it's basically it comes with those I know it comes with a bunch of those models. It's a yeah, it's an insane build. I know I heard that it was going in and out of stock a lot. So I don't know about because they've had a whole bunch of problems with their supply chain. I may need to step away. I think I may need to go take the dog out.
All right.
So I'll
Take
be
your
right back.
time. Hello, Rick. I guess I'll pay attention to you now.
I'm muting my mic now. Remind me to unmute it when I come back.
Okay. My foot fell asleep. I'm almost done. I'm just putting this dude's head on, and then we'll have finished this dad up. This will be a test of my patience. Woo doggy. Fucking hate the circulatory system. Fucking making my feet fall asleep. Fucking can't sit on my foot for too long, even though it's the most comfortable position. You know? You know how it is, chat? As long as you're okay with it not being perfect, it's enjoyable. Yeah, no, I thought I was gonna have to cut more from the head, and I thought I was gonna fuck it up. Are you trying to give yourself a stranger? Oh. Are you crafting as well? Lying in bed, holding my phone over my face. There. Go. So I had no new followers this stream. I think I got my average view count. So that was good. Need the goal is wrong at the moment. I just need 11 more. We hit affiliate, baby. Sorry, chat. You're just not getting a lot of plays out of me. You know? Work with precision. Oh. I continue to draw. Huh? The scene layout. Anyway, I'll let this head cure for a second, I guess. Yeah, I did it before we started. Just like a mixture of a bunch of different things from Streamlabs Prime and like different apps that I threw together. And then this was the other one. Oops. Need to. This is the other one. Oh, and then I had this one as well. Alright, Ben needs a moment. Yeah, they're all easy to make too. Ben needs a moment. I'm also gonna take a pee break. Then when I get back, I will glue this head on and then we'll probably wrap it up. But I will BRB. pee break. All right, we're
Yeah.
back.
So how's it going?
Good. I put the hat on the head.
Uh-huh.
And now I just need to get the head onto the body,
Nice.
and
How
then
did
we're
how did how did drilling the gun barrel go?
pretty well. This one gonna be better. There's a
Yeah.
hole.
Good. As long as it has something to catch some shade, then it's fine.
Yeah, definitely does. All right.
Um yeah, so what was Rick saying about you talking about his build experience?
No, he was saying that his hands fell asleep because he's holding his phone over his head.
No, but the thing is,
And
like, is here as long as you're okay with it not being perfect, it's
oh,
enjoyable.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like it's you build up to whatever level, say you're comfortable with, and like whatever you're satisfied with, it's all that matters.
yeah. I was saying that this head was gonna be the death of me. I thought I was gonna have to do a lot of like fine tuning, but I
With
haven't.
what? With what? Just cleaning it up or
Yeah,
trying to?
yeah,
Yeah,
cleaning it up.
yeah. I mean, that's one thing that say Games Workshop like hires some of the best people to do this. They're not like they're not going to run a mold line like across the face. It'll
Yeah.
run around it. It'll run like around the crown, kind of thing. But it's never going to run through the face. That's the hallmark of a bad mold designer is someone who puts a mold line going through a detail like that. They're going to do their best to hide it and to make it as easily kind of removable as possible.
All right, he's done.
Nice. And see, characters like that though not don't take a lot.
No, it wasn't bad.
Some of them are tough to find. The mold lines, that's for sure. So we started the beginning of the build with this process, but now that we've got some better visual aids, I'm gonna remind you of this too, Rick, about how you find mold lines. You start with like your sprue kind of like on at this orientation, and helpful thing is use your hands to kind of sandwich it together. At this level, or I say in this representation, your hands are the two halves of the mold, and the plastic is being injected from the side, coming through. So where the two halves meet, sandwiching together around this edge is where the mold line is going to appear because this stuff kind of spilling out through the rest of the mold. But so if you take a piece then off the sprue, the mold line is going to run around the piece, around that area. It's never going to be on this face here or the back one here. It's going to be along these edges. It's going to run around that way
I
on
had to
every
put his hat
side.
on. Oh, sorry. I was answering Rick's question. I had to put his hat on.
Yeah, I mean, like I've mostly dealt with like helmets and that kind of stuff, so I've never had to put a hat on. That's pretty funny. But commissars are known for their hats. It's a pretty distinctive feature for them. Time got a little bit away from me. I'm gonna have to go make lunch at some point.
Yeah, I'm starving. I gotta eat soon. I mean, we're done here, so
Cool, cool, cool.
we could wrap it up. I'm very happy with this build, and then I will paint him soon. I will be asking for your expertise on
Yeah.
that as well.
The one thing in between that you can do is try to get your hands on some primer.
Okay.
Um, if you can get to a hardware store and find a spray primer.
Mm-hmm.
Find a a black spray primer. That's gonna be really good. If you want to do something that will potentially elevate it a little bit more quite easily, is to get a black spray primer and like either a light gray or a white spray primer as well. Um, and yeah, so using spray cans for the white stuff is it's not the best. It's a little speckly,
Yep.
but it still helps and still works and can still can really up a paint job for at still really beginner level. Using something like a transparent contrast paint over that, because the whole concept, it's something called zenithal highlighting. You base the or prime the whole thing black, and then from the top down, you just shoot the white. So
Yep.
it's representing where light falls on the model, so it's not getting in the underneath in the shadows.
Yep.
And then you just throw the transparent color over it, and it keeps that value profile, value being lightness and darkness.
Yeah.
So it for a beginner who's just slapping one coat of paint onto it, it uh it has highlights and shades built in
Yep.
with like no work, with no
Cool.
work at all. And it's a method that like depending on what kind you like, what color scheme you want to go. Some contrast paints aren't built as aren't made as well, or just don't work as well as others in that regard. But with some experimentation, you can find a lot of ways to make things like that work. It's like with, again, not a lot of effort or skill involved, and you build up that skill over time. Um, but it'd be I'd be interested to see you attempt to paint this guy up, and then the next thing is to get you up to 500 points.
Cool.
Next, to get you up to a 500 point combat squad uh force, and that way we can say we can actually play the game.
I am down.
Gotta put one of the hats on sideways. Not likely. So that's a way to get summarily executed for for going against the emperor's righteous dress code.
If we do a gaming retreat next time, we can't go to a place where they're gonna fucking walk by us 24/7. So that was
Yeah,
a really cool place.
you live and you learn.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
So I am going to raid someone. Namely, I'm gonna raid Dan Simpson. And then we will log off. So Rick, Dick Dangles, thank you
Take
for
yeah, take it
stopping
easy.
by.
Yeah, thanks for hobbying along with us, Rick. You gotta build up those Tyranids, get more Gene Stealers. That's the one thing you've chosen a horde faction, man. You're gonna have to get a bunch of models on the tabletop. But I think it's a challenge where you're up to.
Hilarious. All right. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Benny Box. We'll see you
My
later.
pleasure. Take it easy.